So at that point, it was pretty much up to the seller if he wanted to sell to me for that price. And for me, once again, I made some mistakes, so I thought I was like getting a great deal.
As an operator, I know other investors are romanticizing multifamily investing, and I'm looking to learn from other investors' mistakes. I know you are too, and you found the right place. Welcome to Myers Methods Presents Multifamily Missteps. Hey everybody, and welcome to Myers Methods Presents Multifamily Missteps. I'm your host, Jerome, and I've got the great pleasure of having Sam Stidwell with me today. Sam, how are things up north in, Illinois?
Yeah, Champaign, Illinois. Pretty good. Everything is, starting to open back up. I'm glad to be on. I've been getting a lot of value from the podcast and then our virtual meetups too. So
Yeah. So do me a favor. If the listeners want to get in contact with you, what's the best way to do that?
Instagram at 2B_great. That's TOB_great. LinkedIn, Samuel Stidwell IV. Facebook, Samuel Stidwell IV.
Got it. You guys got it. 3 different platforms. Check them out. And so now that we've got through the important stuff, let's get into the deal, man. Do me a favor and tell the listeners a little bit about your background, and then let's dive into these missteps.
We have very similar backgrounds. I'm from Fayetteville, North Carolina. I ended up going to North Carolina A&T. I played football, and I majored in architectural engineering. And then after that, I ended up getting a job with the Army Corps of Engineers in Champaign, Illinois.
Nice. And so, why not just work your engineering job? Why are you in real estate and multifamily in particular?
I was kind of exposed to it with my dad. When I was young, me and my sister visited him on the weekends, and he would often ask us if we would mind helping him, getting up early with him the next morning to help him with something. And most of the time, it was something dealing with his property. But I think when I got to college, like around my senior year, when I started really like learning about money and credit and things like that, I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and that's when it really like put that sense of urgency to it. So I knew that's one of the first things I wanted to do when I got a job was buy assets. So
nice. And so you grabbed this triplex, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But was this your first attempt, or did you start buying something and then got a little jammed up and then end up closing that one? Talk to me about the process to get into this triplex.
So yeah, like I'm very much beginning. I have been searching for a while. Like as soon as I moved up here about February of 2019, I started searching. I only put in I was about to put in one other offer. No, I actually did put in an offer on one fourplex before this, but you helped me out with that one, and we ended up putting in a great offer, and we didn't get the property, so that might have been a blessing on that one. But as far as looking at deals, I did try wholesaling for a while, so I was looking at a lot of single families. That's where I pretty much learned a lot from, along with Jay Morrison, Grant Cardone, Bigger Pockets, places like that, YouTube University. This triplex was off market. The realtor I had been working with for a few months, a guy was about to list the property with him, and we had already been working together. So, I was first in line, and it is right next to the University of Illinois, and that's pretty much the economy of this area. So I was, pretty excited about the location, and I ended up getting it for $180K, and the rental income from the two upstairs units total was $1,900. But I mean, the property it was vacant when I bought it, and it's still vacant now. But that's the rental income.
Got it. So how did you value the property knowing that it wasn't producing any income?
So that I think I definitely messed up on that part. I think I was so excited about the location and the seller's numbers that I put in that initial offer, which was horrible. And then when I got the rent rolls and utilities, I think I kind of just really glanced over. Like I didn't really put the time into it like I should have. So I didn't really change my offer. The seller's numbers and the rent rolls were just a little bit off. So I definitely should have changed my offer. And then some things I feel like I should have considered is this house is very old. It was built in 1902. This is a historic neighborhood, and there's some things I think I would have just assumed some expenses because of how old the property is. I think that was my first mistake, was that offer was horrible, and luckily the appraisal saved me, and that's how I got it for 180.
What was your initial offer?
It was 230.
And what was that based on?
It was based on the seller's numbers.
So the seller just came out and said, I want 230 for the property, and you said, okay.
No, he said he wanted 245, and I used the seller's numbers to kind of get a value based on the rental income, and then I just deducted some expenses that I thought would come up, and then that's how I got 230.
Got it. Got it. So what was the lesson that you learned in that part? I think we're going to have a series of lessons in this one, but what was the lesson that you learned in putting a number on the property? Like, why did your realtor let you write at such a high number if the appraiser didn't work out?
The initial offer came in. Well, I put in an initial offer, and then the appraisal didn't happen till it was like really close to closing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, from my understanding, realtors can't really suggest. Well, the realtor was the buyer and seller's agent.
He was representing both sides, and he
Yeah,
things, so he really wasn't representing your side.
I guess not.
No, you got to understand, the person that's writing the check is a person who they work for, right? So you weren't paying that realtor. The seller was paying him. So
Hmm.
even though there was 5 or 6% commission in the deal, he was getting all of it, and it was all coming from the seller. He had zero fiduciary responsibility to you.
Yeah, that's true.
So you make the offer, and the appraisal comes back right before closing. It says, hey, the numbers don't match. We're $50,000 less based on comps in the area. And so how do you manage that negotiation? Do you just shrug your shoulders? Like, what happens at that point?
So at that point, it was pretty much up to the seller if he wanted to sell to me for that price. And for me, once again, I made some mistakes, so I thought I was like getting a great deal by getting that deduction. So, but he ended up selling it to me for the 180.
What's up, guys? It's your host, Jerome. I just want to let you know we launched Myers Methods in the fall of 2019 with the ambition to inspire a new breed of multifamily investor. If you are interested in getting into multifamily or scaling your current business, hop over to our website at myersmethods.com to grab your free 4-step guide on how to get the ball rolling in multifamily. Now let's get back to the episode.
Okay. And did you know why he was selling the property?
So from my understanding, he was getting rid of all his vacant properties.
Okay. And did you know how long the property been vacant before you purchased it?
Yeah, based on the rent roll, it was just a few months, maybe three months or so.
Okay. Was it a college rental or how was it being utilized before?
Yeah, it was. So the top unit was rented out per room, and then the bottom unit was just rented out as a whole. So basically, it was a student rental
Okay.
overall.
All right. And so what was your business plan? What did you plan, or what are you doing with the property?
So my business plan was to just basically do the same thing and raise rents if I could, especially because I came in the first month, I fixed it up. And I was able to do that because it was vacant. I put in new floors, new light fixtures, and then I live in a basement unit, and the basement definitely needed some work, but I'm not finished with the basement yet. But basically just to raise rents a little bit and sell it. So it's basically, kind of a short-term play. I'm thinking like 2-3 years maybe.
Okay. And so why are you doing all the work yourself instead of using third-party property management or vendors to do the construction?
So that's another mistake I made was, so as I was as I was in the process of buying a property, I had a vehicle breakdown, and that really took a lot of cash from me. So when it's time to close, I was really like scraping up everything I had, and that really left me with no reserves once I closed. So um, I had already kind of planned to do everything myself because I kind of wanted to learn, but I really didn't have a choice because of the reserves I didn't have. So.
Okay, and so the reserves are going to, well, you don't have the reserves, so you're working through that, and you're just basically bootstrapping it, get it rent ready, get some cash flow coming in, reduce your expenses, and basically live for free by living in the basement, and then flip out, refi probably at some point, get your equity back out, and then go do something else.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, and so, when you're done with everything and you've got it fully rented, what do you expect the property to be worth?
I could comfortably say 200. Yeah, comfortably I'll say 200. I won't go above that, but it very much could be above that. So,
Okay, and what type of loan do you have on the property? Like
FHA.
FHA, so low down payment, 3%, 5%, 10%. What type of down payment did you put in?
3.5.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so there won't be a ton of equity in the deal, and you won't really have, you can only have one FHA loan at a time, but this allows you to get the ball rolling and gets you to live for free so you can basically save your whole paycheck and not have any housing expenses, which I think is awesome. So,
Mm-hmm.
what, if you had to go through this process all over again, what would you do different?
I would probably wait, just for the fact of, I didn't really, I'm learning how important reserves are, especially with COVID and things like that. And then listening to this podcast, everybody's talking about reserves. So I'm really learning about that. If I would have bought it, I probably would have bought it a lot less because it was vacant, and because what I didn't understand was the timing piece of it. Because I did buy it in the middle of the school year. So I was kind of thinking, as soon as I put in the floors and things like that, fix it up, I should be able to get tenants. But it was like, as soon as I put it on the market, there's already people asking for August and March. So I definitely would have considered that more heavier than I did. Um, and I would definitely really look at the numbers. Like I said, I really glossed over. I think I was just way too excited over the location and the seller's numbers.
Okay. And so you mentioned early on or YouTube U and going through Podcast University. Why did you do that instead of actually getting some formal education to walk you through this process?
So I think that is one thing I regret. But I just, like I said, I didn't really understand the importance of following one mentor. Um, I kind of just started learning that once I already bought the property or right before. So I thought I was getting good enough information from YouTube and from wholesale, and I thought I pretty much knew enough to just get the deal done and do it correctly without any major mistakes. But yeah, I was wrong about that. So
Yeah, I find often that when we go and try to self-teach ourselves, you end up in a spot where you're either overconfident or super frustrated because you don't actually have all the dots connected. And,
Mhm.
one of the things I worry about in this particular situation for you is how are we going to get you out of this deal? Is the market going to be such that you're able to sell it at a profit? Will you have to bite the bullet and take a loss? Will you be able to break even? Like what all is going to play out in this deal just because, you pay full retail for it, but you need to do a value add component. And so, but not having the reserves up front puts you in a really tough situation because the units will go unrented for a while. And because you live here, it's partially good because
you made it to this juncture. So you really love what we shared on this episode of Myers Methods Presents Multifamily Missteps. Do us a favor, give us a 5-star rating, give us a review, and share this with somebody who's interested in multifamily investing. Until the next time, the pack is with you.